Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely, always ready to jump into these fascinating topics.
Well, today we're tackling something that's becoming more and more prevalent and a little bit unnerving. We're diving into the world of QR code scams.
Ah, yes, quishing, as they call it.
Exactly. And we've got some pretty startling statistics from our research for this one. Did you know that QR codes are now involved in over 20% of all online scams?
Wow, 20%. That's a pretty significant number. I guess it shouldn't be that surprising, though, given how ubiquitous those little squares have become.
Right. I mean, think about it. We use them for everything. Restaurant menus, paying for parking, event tickets, even just to access information online. It's almost like second nature to just pull out our phones and scan.
Which is precisely what makes us vulnerable. We're so used to the convenience that we don't always stop to think about the potential risks.
Exactly. So today we're going to break down how these scams work, what makes QR codes particularly susceptible to this kind of fraud, and most importantly, what you can do to protect yourself.
Let's dive in.
All right, so first things first. Why are QR codes so attractive to scammers in the first place? What makes them different from, say, a phishing email or a suspicious text message?
Well, one of the biggest differences is the inherent obscurity of a QR code. Unlike a phishing email where you can see the dodgy web address or a smishing text with a suspicious link, QR codes are essentially encoded URLs. You can't actually read what's hidden in those black and white squares. So it's much easier for scammers to disguise a malicious link as a seemingly harmless QR code.
You're essentially taking a leap of faith every time you scan one, right?
Precisely. And scammers are banking on that blind trust. Let's say you're in a hurry, you see a QR code on a parking meter, you scan it without thinking twice, and bam, you're redirected to a fake website designed to steal your credit card information.
And just like that, you've become a victim of quishing. It's a pretty scary thought, especially considering how many QR codes we encounter on a daily basis.
It is, but the good news is that there are steps you can take to protect yourself. Awareness is key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about those steps. What are some practical things people can do to avoid falling into these traps?
Well, the first thing is to be mindful of your surroundings and use your common sense. If something seems off, trust your gut. For example, if you're in a parking lot and the QR code on the meter looks like it's been tampered with, or it's printed on a flimsy piece of paper that doesn't look official, that's a red flag.
Yeah, like a sticker that's been slapped on top of the original code.
Exactly. Or if the placement of the QR code seems strange, like it's not where you'd normally expect to find a payment code, that should also raise a red flag.
Okay, so always be observant of the physical QR code itself. But what are the digital side of things? Are there any tools or techniques we can use to verify the legitimacy of a QR code before we actually scan it?
Absolutely. Most smartphones allow you to preview a QR code using your camera without actually scanning it.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a handy feature. So before you scan, take a moment to preview the code. This will often reveal the web address it's linked to. And take a close look at that URL. Look for misspellings, unusual domain names, anything that doesn't look quite right or doesn't match the expected website.
So even if the QR code itself looks legitimate, the linked website could be a fake.
Precisely. And if you're still unsure, you can always use a URL shortener checker. These are online tools that allow you to enter a shortened URL and see the full destination address. It's a great way to spot those cleverly disguised malicious links.
Okay, that's a great tip. I'm definitely going to check out those URL shortener checkers. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the responsibility of businesses in all of this. I came across some research indicating that over 25% of U.S. merchants are planning to adopt QR codes within the next 3 years.
That's a massive increase.
It is, and it also means a lot of potential targets for scammers. So what can businesses do to ensure the security of their QR codes and protect their customers?
Well, first and foremost, they need to prioritize security from the outset. Don't just slap a QR code on something without considering the potential risks. One solution is to use encrypted QR codes. Think of it like adding a digital lock to your QR code, making it much harder for scammers to tamper with the linked content.
So it's like an extra layer of security built into the code itself.
Exactly. And there are companies like Kronto that offer what they call color QR codes. These add an extra layer of visual verification, making it easier for users to spot fake codes because they have a distinct color pattern that's difficult to replicate.
That's a really interesting approach. So it sounds like there's a lot that both individuals and businesses can do to navigate this world of QR codes safely. But if there's one key takeaway you'd want our listeners to remember from this deep dive, what would it be?
I think the most important thing is awareness. QR codes are incredibly convenient, but they do come with inherent risks. By understanding how these scams work, paying attention to the details, and using the tools we've discussed, you can significantly reduce your chances of becoming a victim.
Well said. It's a good reminder that convenience shouldn't come at the cost of security. And on that note, it makes me wonder about the future of QR code security. What if we could develop QR codes that could somehow verify their own authenticity, maybe using blockchain technology or some other form of digital signature?
Now that's a fascinating thought. I think that would be a game changer for sure. It would definitely add a whole new level of trust and security to QR code transactions.
It would be incredible to see how that technology develops. All right, so that wraps up our deep dive into the world of quishing. Remember, knowledge is power. The more you know about these scams, the better equipped you'll be to avoid them.
Absolutely. Share this information with your friends, family, colleagues. Spread the word.
Exactly. Let's all work together to stay safe in this ever-evolving digital world. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.
See you then.